Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So taking a fun and exciting episode for you guys today because I'm going to be doing a review for R-Type Delta HD Boosted. This is basically the original R-Type Delta on PlayStation 1 completely redone for a modern audience with a ton of new features, new soundtracks, and a lot better graphics. And honestly, if you know me and you know the channel, you know I love a good R-Type game and a good shmup at that, so there's definitely going to be something fun to take a look at. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ringing that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, R-Type Delta's always been one of my favorite entries in the franchise, and I absolutely love every single R-Type game out there. It is just so fun. And this game definitely has held its value because an original PlayStation 1 disc like I have in my collection is definitely gone up way in value compared to retail. And it just is one of those things, having a newer version of this game with better looking graphics maybe will bring a couple people into the mix that never played it before. But I will say right off the top, this is R-Type Delta. If you love the game back in the day, you're going to love it again. If you didn't like R-Type Delta on PlayStation 1, then there's nothing here that's going to convince you to take a second look at it outside of improved graphics if maybe you didn't like the originals. But R-Type Delta is just one of those shmups. It is straight up hard, it does not hold your hand, and it can be outright hostile to you in spots. But that is the fun about a game like this. It is a memorization game. You have to go through, basically learn every single pattern on every single screen, and kind of progress throughout the game to try to get better at it. The best part is, and I will show you in a moment, there has been a practice mode added to this, so as far as you've gone in the game, as far as the stages and sections, you can load them up and practice them over and over again with any set of conditions you possibly want, almost like a training mode. So if you want to get that 1cc in, you're definitely going to want to utilize that. I think that is a great addition to the overall package. And just so you know, Clear River Games as well as City Connection sent me the review key for this. But like any game I review on the channel that I receive a key for, I am under no pre-existing conditions to say anything about the game other than what I want, and I would never review anything if that was the case. But I do always like to let you know that in the beginning of the video in case you are curious. Now, the number one thing I look at when there is a remake, a port, or otherwise of a retro game, especially one that requires quick reflexes, is going to be the overall latency, because obviously this is not running on PlayStation 1 hardware, it is running on my PC, at least in the Steam version of the game, and if you are wondering, it's going to be coming to PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X, as well as Switch and Switch 2. This definitely isn't a bullet hell game, so reflexes aren't as twitchy as that, but honestly, if there was latency in the controls, I would tell you, because it would make this game near impossible to play, because even though there aren't a lot of projectiles on screen at once, the overall pacing and kind of just absolutely gonna bug you in the back alley and leave you for dead difficulty here. If you couldn't control the ship correctly, you would not have fun with this. The good thing is, as far as the controls are concerned, they're exactly as I would expect them to be. I felt no latency whatsoever, and just so you know, I did use an arcade stick for playing this game because honestly, a shmup like this requires an arcade stick, at least for me personally. And that is just the number one thing I always want to take a look at. For games that are on PlayStation 1 or retro hardware and are brought to modern consoles, does it feel the same way to play them? And in this instance, it's a 10 out of 10. I really don't have any issues whatsoever, but of course, I am hardwired in on USB-C. I'm not using a wireless controller, so your mileage definitely may vary. I always recommend being on hardline. But as far as the overall presentation of the game is concerned, that is the secondary thing here, and I love the fact that it just looks like the PlayStation 1 with enhanced graphics. Now, as far as how this is actually running, the document that the publisher sent over did not have any details as to how they're doing this, but it definitely feels like, and I am presuming, so do not take this as the gospel, that this is running some sort of PlayStation 1 emulation with enhancements in the background and some add-ins as well, but I could be very wrong. It's just the way that all the menus work, and it basically says saving the game, definitely looks like the exact same configuration that you would see when you were kind of just setting up a memory card on PlayStation 1. And of course, you definitely want to register a pilot so you can go through and play around with the game. It's got just enough options to kind of articulate the experience the way you want, but not so many that you're going to get completely muddled. And R-Type Delta, just like the original, obviously gives you a choice of ships as well, so you can kind of decide what sort of gameplay you want. Now, there is more than one soundtrack in the game, but I just left it on stock because I absolutely love the music, but you're going to have soundtrack options as well, so you can clearly see the developers and publishers wanted to give you as many options as possible. Soundtrack sample 1, and I'll be right back though. great music, and it sounds great coming out of the version of this game. But take a look at the background here and you're going to see that all of those buildings are made up of polygons. That was impressive back in the PlayStation 1 era, but obviously it's what we expect now. But again, because you see those polygons seemingly want to warp, but they have some sort of correction put on top of them, again makes me think that this is running on top of some sort of emulation. So if you have any idea on that, leave me your comments down below. What I really appreciate of this version of the game is that they've left the character intact. This is not a remake where they remodeled everything. It is the original models, it is the original textures, just improved a metric crap ton. Because I love the low poly look of something like R-Type Delta, even if I totally forgot that that boss was going to blow off that laser there. Because it has been a couple years since I played this game, and muscle memory is 100% going to make or break you. It's one of those things, you just have to practice this game over and over again. It is methodical, it is going to challenge you, so don't give up if you've never played it before. And if you haven't played R-Type Delta, I can't recommend enough. Jump in and give it a go. If you like shmups, you're absolutely going to love this one. There is so much to love here. It's one of those things, I just always want to advocate for these type of games because I grew up playing R-Type and a lot of you did as well, but I'm sure there's going to be a decent amount of people out there that have never checked this one out before. It's just one of those classics that I wish more people would experience, and now with a new version of the game, you're going to be able to do just that. And I totally understand I'm not doing many cuts here whatsoever because I want to see you guys enjoy the footage without actually interrupting it so you can get a sense of the game's pacing, the speed, and the overall graphics. When I cut too many times, you pay more attention to what's actually happening gameplay-wise than you do the visuals and performance. And that's really what is on offer here because, again, this is just R-Type Delta from back in the day. It might be prettier, it might be easier to play, and it might be a hell of a lot cheaper to buy compared to the PlayStation 1 original disc, but it is still the exact same game, so you have to know you'll love it. But I do love this practice mode here where you can kind of jump around to the stage and point you've been in. You can set all of the different modifiers so you can basically practice the game with whatever weapon set you want. Because trust me, weapon selection R-Type Delta is going to make some areas incredibly easy or incredibly difficult. If you have the right weapon for the right section, you basically feel invincible. If you bring the wrong weapon in or die during that section and go back to these stock weapons, you're going to absolutely get your ass handed to you, and it is going to be brutal. But that's the kind of thing about R-Type Delta and this generation of shmups. They were punishing, they rewarded patience and memorization, and they absolutely just destroyed you if you tried to rush. Rushing in R-Type Delta is going to be the death of you. So definitely take your time, look around, and decide what is the safest route through an area. Because when you pick a difficulty, every single stage is going to happen in the exact same order. If you die, you're going to be set back to the checkpoint. All the enemies are going to move at the exact same pattern, so you can start to memorize the game. Sure, within the gameplay, there's something you can do to articulate direction of bullets, which is where your ship is on screen. But as far as the ways of enemies, where they're coming from, that is going to be static, and that is the fun part about this. You know enough about it to learn it, but you don't know enough to master it until you spend time with it. And using the ball, putting it in front of you and behind you to block it and have it attack, depending on the direction of where the enemies are coming from, is going to absolutely be so important here. Because trust me, R-Type Delta, you have to memorize it. There is no other way to get good at this game. It is methodical, it is slow paced, but I love that. It's basically like the pulse start of the R-Type era. One more soundtrack sample though, 45 seconds, and I'll be right back. So it's areas like this where you really have to be patient. Take it from me because I do want you to enjoy R-Type Delta if you've never played it before. Don't rush through this. Take your time, understand what direction you want to attack in and what direction you want to defend in, and use those falling bits of the geometry to protect you from shots. It's one of those things. I find that shooting towards the right hand side of the screen and defending myself on the left is going to work the best, because if you don't know R-Type Delta, the ball that you're using in the game, you can destroy enemies with that, and it can also block certain shots. shots. Not every single shot, like some of the boss's lasers, is going to go right through them, but where you position yourself and where you position your enemies on screen 100% matters, because this power-up right here, these fireballs that ride the geometry, that is going to be absolutely crucial to getting through that section, where if you bring the wrong weapon in, you are going to have a 10 out of 10 hard time. But that really is the fun part about something like R-Type Delta, the weapon selection and deciding what it is you want. Because right here I went to the laser just to kind of show you what is in consideration a good weapon or a bad weapon for this section. Would have much rather had the weapon I had before, but I wanted to kind of explain that. And because I had the ball in front of me, not behind me, you're going to see that I took that death there, where if I move it behind, a lot more guarding. And I even love the fact that the enemies here will not go into the water. They die when they hit it, so it is kind of an easy way to protect yourself. Now, I understand that this is a new version of R-Type Delta, but I've been doing this video mostly as an R-Type Delta review to try to convince you to play it, and that is because this new version, there's absolutely nothing I can point to to say it's not as good as the original, and you don't need to play it. This just takes an absolutely outstanding game and just makes a better version of it from start to finish. And again, that practice mode and the other additional features here are going to be worth their weight in gold when it comes to actually learning the game, let alone the addition to different soundtracks and other little aspects of the game that I'll let you find out on your own. And trust me, I get it. I'm only showing you the first areas of this game because I kind of want to keep the sensation of surprise going. Also, because if I actually fought through this to see the end boss, it would have taken me about a dozen hours to capture it because I am a little bit rusty, but I did get further than this, and I can tell you 10 out of 10. I have no notes on this one. If you love R-Type Delta, you definitely need to pick it up. If you've never played R-Type Delta before and you like shmups, I also can't recommend it enough. But leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, but we're done. Keep shooting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.